chop. Hi, you guys. Just got a fresh chop on my hair. Thanks to my husband, my annual 5 inches. Speaking of my annual 5 inches,
Hey, who are you talking about?
my postpartum, it's been 2 months since our baby's born. I feel my postpartum libido coming back sometime in the next month. I think my husband's penis might make a surprise visit to my vagina.
We can
If we can.
squeeze that one in.
Mhm. And this is not just another TMI session. This is very important. This is a very special TMI session. So many people are freaking out about taking a break from sex, like freaking out. Postpartum, your vag has just been blasted out. Your tits are sucked on all the time. You're not sleeping. Your husband is hotter than ever because he's doing all this work that he insisted he wasn't capable of. And then the second that there's a new kid, they just like have to do it. So you're like, oh wow, like competent, like sick. So all of these things going on, but a lot of people really stress themselves out about like, if we don't have sex, what's gonna happen? If you're married to a Gemini, you definitely understand.
And you just don't have more than 2 minutes together.
Yeah, you don't, and it only took that long to put the baby in, but after a baby, it can be hard to get
Trying to
those
be romantic.
moments. But just like heads up, like I really feel I'm so excited about teaching erotic wealth and this time doing it live because we can take so much out of it and really like simplify it for people. But I really feel like sex magic was made for couples because first of all, like in a container of trust, magic is easy. So if we repair the trust in the relationship, like you can basically, if somebody was trying to do sex magic with somebody they didn't trust, that they didn't have history with, they would have to do all this like pageantry and ritual to create a safe space so that magic could occur. Not only that, but they're also going to be checking astrological transits for a good time where they would be able to simulate the erotic energy that a couple would already have together. Now, there's a lot of things that would really fuck this up, but sex magic is also about learning how to not like one of the hardest things is learning not to ejaculate at the end of a long sex magic session. So an ejaculation marks the end of pleasure. You can't handle anymore. You say, pop this fucking bubble. I'm done. I'm cooked. Because parents are so frequently interrupted by children, if you have the right attitude, you could see this as like being the best possible thing for sex magic. Like whether you like it or not, you're not going to be able to finish today. Now, people that don't understand how sex magic work get stressed. They say, oh my God, my kids ruin everything. My kids interrupt everything. We never get time together. But from a sex magic lens, it's like, thanks to these constant interruptions of your life, when you don't ejaculate, that erotic, that when you're like chasing each other around because you're horny, that one time of year where you're like or when you're ovulating, you're like, oh my God, slutting it up. If you don't ejaculate, that energy never goes away. That energy never goes away. Now the second, because that's erotic tension, there's a pull, there's something that's magnetizing the two of you to each other. But the second you pop the bubble, you then have to rebuild that tension. A lot of people will find that they'll get into little like fights and get snippy with each other, especially after they've been building something up. But when you don't release it, you have this tension, which makes it's not, oh, we had sacred sex over here in this corner of our lives. The whole temperature of the house gets hotter. The way you're interacting with each other, it brings back that energy from when you first met each other, where you couldn't keep your hands off of each other because it was new. It's so easy to get this back. And for couples, like it's easy when you don't have to be the ones to say, okay, pull it back. We're not going to come this time. Like if you're just, you're having a great time upstairs and then you hear like shrieking from downstairs, it doesn't matter how you feel about it. Doesn't matter what the lady told us on the call. Just tell your kids that you're having special connecting time with your partner. I said, I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old that it's like watching a dog fight, it's just brutal. You can't look away. and they're just at each other. They just don't understand that it's our special connecting time right now. My kids don't even care. You know, it's the worst when, as a mom, when you get sick and you tell your kids, guys, I'm really not feeling good. And they literally demonstrate that they don't give a fuck about how you feel. And they immediately go back to their bullshit. And you're like, oh my God, my whole life is around like making your fucking life cushy. And I can't even get a break when I'm sick. So forget about mom and dad connecting time. But from a magical perspective, this is so good for sex magic, but something that could totally override this. Because it's so, like I said, if you didn't have this trust in your relationship, then you would be making, like I said, this is TMI, but it's good TMI. If you didn't have, if you weren't doing sex magic with a partner, you can do it by yourself. We teach that in autoerotic. We're doing that live this year as well. But when you're with your partner, you have that container of trust. But if you weren't with a partner, you'd have to check astrological transits to figure out when is a good time to do magic. But when you're with your soulmate and it's synchronized, if you just follow your desire patterns, like it's no coincidence that when you're ovulating, men know. There's no coincidence that when you're ovulating, all of a sudden you could have been on the pull-out game your whole life, but when you're ovulating, we call it cum slut energy. Good thing I'm not live streaming on TikTok right now. They'd be, ooh, we call it cum slut energy. You just can't, you're like, oh, override, like no matter what you learn about the rhythm method or conscious conception, it's like, sorry, I just turn into a fucking cum slut when I'm ovulating. I can't help it. I don't know what happens. It's no coincidence. Like if you learn how to trust when desire moves through you, and you're not jerking off all the time and ejaculating, basically losing that tension independently. So there's not a connection. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just if you're trying to foster connection, you want to be synchronized. You want it and he wants it at the same time, because you can do magic when you want it and he wants it, or, you know, both of you, it doesn't matter what the genders are. But if you can trust when desire is moving through you, that's how you know that cosmically the container is right to do magic. You really want it and they really want it. It's not that complicated. You don't have to check astrological transits at all. You don't have to seal the space. You can be in any room at any time. It can take 1 minute, it can take 10 minutes, be whatever it is. But magic will occur if you have these two things of two people that really love and trust each other, that really, really want each other at the same time. Those are the ingredients for magic. That's literally it. But something that can really override that is if you are forcing yourself to fuck when you don't want to fuck. And a lot of people, we're walking a long block, but we're making our way back to the start, you guys. If you force yourself to have sex when you don't feel like it, because you're like, oh my God, my definition of normal that I got from the movies or my parents or from somewhere else, I'm violating this definition of normal. It's been 2 months since I've had sex. If I don't want to have sex, there's something wrong with me. And if you go to any sex experts and say, I don't want to have sex, there's something wrong with me, they never say, let's look into the psychology. Let's look into how desire works. They're all fucking anatomical. Go to the vagina, have sex more. You just need to the more you have sex, you'll eventually get back into it. And this just doesn't work. So if you're interested in magic at all, that scheduling sex thing is not going to work for you. It'll work if you're wanting to do sexual acrobatics, fine. But that's not what sex magic is. And if you are constantly overriding your desire, you are dulling the instruments that could make your marriage hot, and you're dulling your ability to do magic, because you have to be very attuned to what desire feels like for you. And as you get really good at doing advanced magic like this, you learn to discern when it's the voice of true desire within you or when it's just a habit. For example, you can do whatever you want in second level teachings. It's Tantra. Let's say drinking is totally allowed. If you truly desire it, no problem. But a lot of people have the mechanical voice of habit confused with what true desire is. Desire is the voice of your soul. Habit is the workings of the machine. We're trying to rage against the machine. We're trying to get over this mechanical nature. So if you're habitually reaching for wine and you say, oh, I really want this, but you don't know what that real want is because you're so used to overriding desire. And this is where we get into that really, this is why all second level teachings are pointing back at sex, because it's asking you, can you investigate that first time when you started overriding desire? How many of us lost our virginity because we just felt pressured to do it? And how many of us lost it when we were really, really craving that connection with the person that we lost it to? I've heard hundreds of virginity stories on our way to building this workshop. And I can tell you, the women that lost their virginity because they really wanted it and they were really feeling the connection have had great sex from there on out. Great sex from there on out. And those of us that overrode our desire because we wanted to be normal created a pattern within ourselves of listening to what other people say we should want versus what we actually want. And nod your head if you understand how that could be a problem. Yeah. So the world of sex magic is really, really cool. It goes into the deepest corners of your mind, and it is totally fine, more than totally fine, to be interested in just the physical side of it. It's totally, but all magic is in the mind, and we use the body as a tool to extend the will of the mind. It's just a tool. You can't get to magic from the body into the mind. You have to go from the mind into the body. Where the attention goes, the energy flows. But I feel like sex magic has been made so overcomplicated. And for people that are in a relationship where they don't have a lot of time, whether that relationship is with others or with yourself, where you're like, dude, how am I going to make time for 40 minutes of sitting in Yab Yum? You don't have to. Like, how am I going to be able to do magic if my kids are interrupting me all the time? It's going to work, I promise. And I'm just so excited to be able I'm so excited that in a month we might have some sex for 2 minutes and then get interrupted. I'm so excited that we can normalize, like, hey, 2 months said we, oh, wait, way more than 2 months since we've had sex. Just 2 months postpartum. I stopped feeling like having, when I've got a baby hanging halfway out of my vag, I don't really feel like getting pounded either. It's been, but normalize breaks in sex without it being the end of a relationship or like, you can not be having sex and be in the best relational state of your life with your partner. And
Well, and guys just don't turn to jerking off all the time either.
yeah, that's
not
also
gonna be helpful.
a thing. Yeah. And here's the thing, when it comes to, have you guys seen, so there's the look of being underfucked, you know, where it's like you're super reactive and offended by everything. But then there's like the look of being overfucked where you're just like anything goes, and it's kind of like it's kind of just no standards territory. It's kind of like what people say about polyamory, where it's like you trade in 1 10 for 5 2s. It's almost like that, like no standards becomes the standard. But there's a look, like for people that understand sex magic, and I know a lot of you guys probably don't know what Sting and his wife look like, but Sting and his wife have been practicing sex magic for a long time. These are not people that are insanely muscular. These are not people that look like they're 15 years old. They look their age and they don't have some, you know, crazy dramatic body type, but they've got this fire in their eyes, this vitality. This is what they call ojas. It's the difference between someone being good looking and hot. We've all seen hot people that defy what we would be attracted to. We can't really describe what it is that they have. It's some combination of youthfulness, open-mindedness, strength, and confidence that can come in any physical package. But it's this like aliveness, this vitality. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's something that makes you go boom. It can come in any kind of package. That's the correct amount of getting fucked. It's not over fucked where it's just like, woo, you know, and it's not under fucked where it's like, don't even talk about sex about me. There's this beautiful like middle ground. And that comes from learning how to not just say yes to yourself all the time. Learning the paradox of yes and no, that sometimes saying no to your instant gratification is the absolute key to perpetual bliss. It's learning how to be your own disciplinarian, how to be the master and the servant, both at the same time. And everybody's got these parts. It's just there's one side that's latent that wants to be woken up. And when you have that, you stop looking for You stop looking outside of either yourself or outside of the container of your marriage for that spark. You know how to cook the spark up for yourself. So it's really cool. I remember I was like, because I was super like underfucked and super sexually repressed, trauma. But I was like, geez, why is it that like as you go deeper on the spiritual path, all of a sudden everyone's talking about sex? Like, why does it always have to be about sex? And if you're ever saying about teachings, why does it always have to be about this? People usually say, why does it always have to be about money? Why does it always have to be about God? Or why does it always have to be about sex? That's showing you exactly where the like repression point is. But now I understand it's like, man, this symbol for desire. And when was the first time you stopped listening to your desire because you wanted to please other people or you were afraid of being abnormal? When did you start aspiring to being normal as opposed to aspiring to your like highest pleasure, your highest goddessness? And it's just, we've been studying this. I've been studying Tantra since 2017, decided I wanted to teach a workshop on sex magic in 2020 and have just been doing draft after draft after draft of this workshop every year since then, studying around the clock. The more I get into it, the cooler it gets. But I'm really excited to be doing July or August. Autoerotic and Erotic Wealth will be released depending on when we have it done, but it'll be one of those 2 months. But we have so many people that are always asking to do it, and we have to say no, because just trust me, the whole purpose of this workshop is to teach you how to wait. We have so many people that want to do it right now in Safe House, and I'm like, dude, don't blow your load on the 2024 version, because the 2025 version, we're just going to have to teach this live for a few years to get it right. So anyways, let's answer a couple questions. Can you practice when the relationships you attract are super solid and committed? Don't try and do so sex magic, the way that we teach it, is a sealing ritual. So a lot of people are sealed on the physical plane, sometimes on the emotional plane, sometimes on the mental plane. This means that for all of the mechanisms that would exist within your body, you can be committed to this person. But when it comes to soulmates, you want to be sealed on the astral plane. You want to be sealed on the causal plane. Now, look, only listen to Lana Del Rey. The person that's right will stay. But sometimes it takes people a long time to leave. And you need to listen to people that are in actual marriages, that have been in actual marriages for a long time, and listen to how they talk about relationships and relationship problems and the obstacles that you're faced, because it is different. We thought, those of us that are married and have been married for a long time, we're not diminishing the relationship that's so meaningful to you. But we can tell you, looking you in the eye, we thought a lot of people were our soulmates before we met our soulmates. And then it was just different. It just had a different taste. You can do all kinds of wonderful sexual experiments and have very magical sex, but you don't want to seal yourself to the wrong person. If somebody's willing to commit 100% to you, this is a good indicator. And not just committing, but like really telling you, like, you're the person I want to be with. I choose you. All of these things that people do when they get married to each other. I'm not saying you have to get government married, but someone saying, you're the person that I want to spend my life with. Let's make some steps to doing this together. Let's buy a house together. Let's start a business together. People that are really ready to commit to you, and not just someone you're becoming more and more attached to without getting that commitment back from them. Save this when it comes to doing sex magic with a partner, save it for that person that you're married to, because it has the ability to bring a relationship that had gone cold back to life again. And when it's someone that you're supposed to be with, you're supposed to be with them, you have children with them, you know that this is for real, you do not want to lose this person, and it kills you that the relationship is cooling off. This is what that's for. But for all relationships that aren't that, you do not want to use this to prolong a relationship that really should be ending. A relationship that you know is subpar, that you've known is subpar for a while. And a great question to ask yourself is, why do you think that this is the best it's going to get? People ask me all the time, how do you know when it's the right person? Because when it's the right person, you don't fucking ask. You don't ask anyone. You don't care. If God told me that I had to break up with magic, I'd say, no, sorry. That's a no-go for me. And you know who Aubrey Marcus, who used to be like the face of polyamory and is now in a totally monogamous relationship with his wife, um, he said something cool. Of course, it's Aubrey Marcus, so plant medicine, it's like a pile of ketamine combined with body work, while like as hot tub gravity bong, like basically as high as you can get, as high as you can get. But he said that, this woman's voice came through and said, your wife is not the person for you. You need to leave her. And he was like, no, absolutely. I'm not going to do that under no circumstances. And the voice is like, no, I see the future. There's no future in it with this person. You should leave them immediately. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And the voice was like, great. Now I know I can trust you with greater magic. Like you passed the test, basically. Even though that story like makes me, I'm like, oh man, the ketamine voices really fuck with you, like regular meditation, God, or the voice of your heart and stuff like that doesn't really fuck with you like that. But plant medicines and stuff, they can really kind of put you through the ringer. But I thought that was a good metaphor. It's like, are you sealed to this? Are you sealed to this person? But so many people, because we've been running Erotic Wealth since 2020, I think 2021, we ran it with case studies for the first time. Let me just get my years right. No, we were in Austin. 2022, the first case studies came through. And so many people apply. And I'd say that at least 30% of the applications are people, the red flags are super clear to us. I'm in a relationship with my partner. I know the erotic is dead. It's been 3 years since we had sex. I'm not attracted to him, but when I tried to kill myself, he was there for me. That's not the relationship. That's not, you don't owe this person your life because they saved your life for one moment. So you're not internally indebted to these people. This is not the best it's going to get for you. And they really hate to hear that. They're like, really, I've had multiple people send the money and say, I insist, like you have to do it. I'm like, I'm just gonna send this money right back to you because I can't do anything with it. But all this being said, if you're like, I'm not sure that this is my forever relationship, but I do really want to learn this, you can do autoerotic by yourself. You can learn this for yourself and you can share these teachings with your person. But you don't want to go through the erotic couples curriculum, because all that work that we're doing about creating a container of love and trust, helping you guys remember that you love each other, fixing the trust that inevitably got broken or shaken somewhere on the course of the relationship, all of that rebuilding and resealing of the container, that makes up the first third of the workshop. We have to heal the relation, we have to reveal the relationship. What's the real state of things? We have to heal the relationship, and then we can do magic. You don't want to go through that with somebody that you're not totally committed to. So 23 minutes in, you guys, this is actually the authorship Q&A. Self-publishing. Authorship is now included in Safe House. So for everybody that has a Safe House subscription, you can go and see previous Q&As on the topic of self-publishing. We've laid a really strong foundation when it comes to why I choose to self-publish, why I think it's the best deal for other people. And now these conversations are more like maintenance, where we help the self-publishing authors or authors of all kinds navigate their launches, navigate their content strategy, their book construction, and figure out how they can keep the most of their paycheck and control the most of their paycheck going forward. You can always check the archives on that, and the early emails cover the why and the how. All of this is now available on Safe House, but if you're not on Safe House, you can get just authorship for 20 bucks a month and read those first 4 emails totally for free. That's mommyonami.com/authors if you want to know more about that. A little book update from me. I have just finally accepted after 2 months that I cannot do book updates with Taiga, because as you guys can see, this is my hand situation here. My hands are very full. One hand is always numb. And I always have the baby on top of me. But the thing is my edits, and my book editor from Reedsy is so good. I'm so happy with the service that she's brought to me. But all of the edits are only visible on the computer. And I can't type without waking her up by jostling one of my hands. So I was on a podcast. As I've started moving towards this, the press opportunities have really shown up. A lot of them are right around the book release date, but I told people April 26th, which is my son's 7th birthday. So I have to have it done on April 25th. And I've just accepted that I cannot do these edits with my daughter. Therefore, my family is going to have to give me dedicated time to just power through these, because if I don't have these edits done by Monday at the latest, and I have 200 pages of edits to go through, it's taken me, doing it with my baby has taken me 2 weeks to get through 40 pages just because I'm interrupted that much. Everyone that writes knows that, starting the writing process is hard, but when you go into the flow, you're good. I'm never giving myself enough time to go into the flow of it. So I'm basically just crawling along, doing these first hard 5 minutes over and over and not making progress. So it looks like it's just going to require some serious boundaries. Someone asked me recently, and Pure, this will be a good soundbite. Someone asked me recently how we keep things organized in the house with so many different schedules and so many commitments, no nanny and all of that. And the truth is we make most of our commitments in moments or Kairos time and not at times, Chronos times. The only things we commit to, I'm going to be there at 11, are these live calls we do for Safe House and any podcasts or press. But we try and keep these this set time, Chronos time, we try and keep those commitments minimal. Everything else that we do when we're setting an appointment for something is a moment. So now, until book edits are done, the boundary is after breakfast and after workouts, I do writing. And that's how we just keep the flow of our day without reminding each other or schedules or anything like that. After breakfast and after workouts comes writing, and it's just going to be this way for a little bit. So I'll update you guys with how that's going. On Sunday, instead of getting the big newsletter from me, you guys are going to get a replay of a podcast I did with Kim Anami, who is a vaginal kung fu coach. So we talk about kind of the difference between, it's the truth of a beautiful sex is somewhere between, in my opinion, somewhere between the psychological and the physical. And so because I teach very little of the physical, I'm super grateful that Kim Anami was able to come out and teach us so much about just the physical. You guys will get that on Sunday. But I also committed to doing an audiobook, and that's going to be one of the trickiest commitments. But what I can tell you from recording my audiobook for Leave This Book in Your Bathroom the whole time is that it's really beautiful to, it is a beautiful opportunity when you read your audiobook and you get to, that's the final step of the process, really being able to go over that polished version and be like, damn, I did a really good job here. And anybody that's an audiobook listener, honk if you guys hear around this, when it's an audiobook that's read by the author, it's just like, it's the best. It's the best, best, best. 2 great book recommendations for audiobook read by the author. Karma by Sadhguru, one of the best books I've ever read. And I love it because Sadhguru has a little accent. Instead of saying V's, he says W's. So I like the way he says vision and vermin and wasana. I love it. And Existential Kink. I forget the name. Her name's Carolyn something. Awesome audiobook, electrifying to listen to, psychological treasures, but also it's the only audiobook where I've ever been able to hear the author breathing. And for me, that's very erotic and I'm obsessed with it. So such a loaded book. If you haven't read Existential Kink, it's been recommended. What's her name? Thank you for giving me the opportunity to get this right. Elliot, her name is Carolyn Elliott. Is that her name? Okay, cool. Awesome book. 10 out of 10 recommend it, and you won't be disappointed. So let's go into some questions. Also, who here has been around for the master classes I did the last 2 weeks on Safe House? Okay, cool. So those, the topics of how to find your purpose and boundaries are just things people ask me all the time. And I needed to just have those recorded as a reference, but I so much prefer coming on and just teaching whatever comes up and answering. I'm a generator, so I'm here to respond, and I get the most excited about doing Q&A. It's also really what I'm here to do. So we will most likely have the calls going forward on Friday be more responsive and be more, we'll see what comes up, dealer's choice, and I'm the dealer. I've been bossy my whole life. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm very older sister, bossy, Capricorn vibes, very bossy. It works out for me. My little sister never, my little sister's a manifester and was just like, this configuration doesn't work for me. But very bossy. Can you recommend the best way to find a good final edit proofreader on a tight budget? I hired an editor for my first edit and they did a crap job, honey. Yeah, I know. So I did 2 edits myself. Oh, sorry, you're gonna regret that. Now it just needs to be proofed and to get it done and out there. It's been 3 years already. Okay, thank you so much for this question because I too have edited a book myself 3 times and now I'm having to pay a good editor to do it, the same one that's doing Wheels Reinvented. I know I've told you guys this story a little bit on here before, but I went into labor right after my first book was done and I just forgot that I thought I sent it to an editor. I really did. I sent it to my assistant, which was not the same thing. My assistant wasn't even there to do spell check on it. Hi, little baby. Um, but as I was recording the audiobook this year, I was like, this editor did such a shitty job. And after 60 pages of being like, oh my God, I can't believe I paid this editor, I got so frustrated that I went digging through my email to find the receipt and demand a retrospective refund. And there was no receipt. And that's how I found out that I was the editor. And when truthfully, the more times you go over a manuscript, the less likely you are to spot errors because you're going to be so sick and tired of it. And also, like, what makes sense to you is not going to make sense to other people. Now, I went through a cheap editor on Fiverr to do the first draft of this book, and honestly, I only had to read 1 word of it. He put the word moreover in there. I've never said the word moreover in my fucking life. And I was like, dude, I can't do it. I can't do it if this is what it's going to be. It felt like it was written by AI. And in the era of things written by AI, I really want to sound like me. Like it's really important that it sounds like me. So now I'm working with an editor from Reedsy, and I was dreading doing the edits, but I have to say, her editorial comments, and she gives me boosts as well. It's not just criticism. She'll say, oh, I love this piece here. And that feels really good to me. Like super good. Like I turn into like 13-year-old. I'm getting like contact gay with her too, you know. I'm like, oh, wrote that just for you. Because she's real cool. And but the things she's prompting me to do, you know, she'll say, take it a beat further here. That's what my editor says to me, take it a beat further here. I said, I love this language. Her comments are really right on, and I'm loving seeing how polished and how beautiful this manuscript is becoming as a result of her edits. So basically, the service I get when I've paid her, I sent her the first draft, which is very rough. Of course, I think, you know, it should have been public. I'm like, it's ready. But now that I'm going through the painstaking process of reading a manuscript I edited myself literally 3 times, it's horrifying. Like it's terrible, horrible. And the content is good, but it needs that professional eye. And, you know, I needed to be prompted of when something needs more explaining, when something needs less explaining, how something could be beautiful. And I really needed this to feel confident about selling the book. So she gets the rough draft, she sends it back to me with some clear guidelines as well as edit prompts in the margins. So I've done the clear guidelines, and some of her guidelines for me were things that I really wanted, but I forgot that I wanted because I was just writing myself into a hole. I couldn't step back and see it. So now I'm going through all of her editorial comments, and then it's going to go back to her for one last pass. And then after that, it's going to go to the formatter, and the book cover is being done right now. And I've hired all these people through Reedsy with no regrets, even though I want the formatter to be done with it really fast. And Fiverr could probably do it the fastest. Fiverr is really good for fast. Reedsy is going to take more time. The quality of the work is just so much better. I will see how much time I have. If my formatter needs 30 days, I can't give it to them. And of course, I filed my copyright on this book months ago. As soon as I had a rough draft, I copyrighted it. So I won't have to wait 2 months for that, like I've been in trouble with in the past, not doing my copyright early enough. you really get what you pay for with editors. I wish that wasn't true because it's hard to, especially as a self-publisher, it's hard to even, ideally you wouldn't go into debt. You've already been paid to do a rough draft. If you want to know how to be paid to do a rough draft, you can sign up for those first 4 free emails. But in my experience, you really get what you pay for when it comes to editors. And I posted my receipts. Um, I posted my receipts because I can't really remember now. I think it was 4,500 for this book. I think it was 4,500 altogether for this book. Another 400 euro, so 550 bucks roughly for the book cover. And I will let you know, 60 bucks for the copyright, 120 bucks to have someone file the copyright for me. And it sucks to have to pay out for things, but I do just on a budget. I think that you just get what you pay for. If you're really determined to just get this out, if you want to give yourself the long and arduous task of working together with Grammarly or AI to really fine tooth comb through your manuscript, you can, but what I can tell you is that my book is a lot better because I have a capable editor. My book, it's a book that I now feel really, really good about selling, and I just didn't have that before. I'm just gonna check. Older sister Capricorn vibes, right? Do you have a list of these payments and who you use on the course in Safe House? I do. And so you will find these in the email archive. Let me see, and I don't want to lose my place here in the Q&A, but it is in the email archive. I did do it. It was one of the ones that went out in January. There's only 4 that went out in January. So you'll be able, and all of those emails on authorship are very book, or it's a small blog on authorship, all of those in the email archive. And yes, you can get those there. I have an idea for a graphic novel that's fairly well fleshed out at this point. I have a partial script. Wait, hang on. Is this all February and March? Okay. Did I answer these? I feel like I answered some of these before, but I might just not have showed it. Is it true that I only, okay, so all of these, I did answer all of these. Oh my God, I had answered this one before. Okay, so there's actually only one question. And then we can have some fun. Then I can go over to the Q&A on Safe House and answer some more stuff. Luckily, I didn't go through all of those questions. Those questions you guys can watch on YouTube or watch on here for last time, but it was someone said they had a graphic novel that they wanted someone else to illustrate. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Have fun with that. Finding an illustrator that's like, I just have no vision for what I want to do, and I'll draw your whole vision out for free. I'm not saying you can't manifest it, but so what we recommended for her was to use AI. Another one was, do I like getting books at the Goodwill? I don't. I'm very clear. I don't go shopping around for books. I always have a pretty clear list of what I want to read and what I want to read next. And I hate it when people give me books. I also hate it, heads up, you guys. I hate it when moms give me books or board games because I'm like, look, we're an iPad family. My kids fucking hate board games. I end up just picking up the pieces from all over the floor. They don't want to play by like something else's rules. And they also have a really clear set of books that they like to read or not. But it's like when someone gives me a book, especially like I feel pressured to read it. But then when someone gives me a kid's book, I feel pressured to read it for my kids. And my kids are super cool. So a lot of times these kind of like saccharine, like, oh, you're such a wonderful baby. Like the only book my kids are really interested in is Harry Potter. So I hate it because it makes me feel I don't want to say it's like triggering me, but I need to just be loud and proud. I'm telling this to the internet instead of the people that are actually giving me these books. We're an iPad family and we love that. Our family loves its screen time and I'm obsessed with it. I like the way that it works out. Mommy, do you think it's better to test material for a book with your audience before writing it? Quick answer, I think it's best to get paid for your book before writing it, to find some kind of way to get paid for your book before writing it. And a lot of times that goes hand in hand. So testing your book before writing it and getting paid. before writing it. I think there's usually a way that these two can go hand in hand. But then it's also, is it fiction or is it nonfiction? Because if it's nonfiction and you're self-publishing, you definitely want to have proof of concept. You definitely want to have case studies. The book is the ultimate passive income. So if you're writing nonfiction, your method has to be so solid before it goes into people's hands, and you're not going to be there to help them understand it. And so it took me a lot of testing to get the method for Wheels as solid as it was. And then by the time I actually wrote the book, it was so easy. It just took time, but it was so easy because I had delivered these lectures so many times that I knew exactly what the talking points were, exactly what I was saying. It's just this time I was writing it down as opposed to typing it. I'm sorry, writing it down as opposed to speaking it, but I knew exactly what words were going on it. I want to write a guide for first-time entrepreneurs, but I'm wondering if I should make content, offer a free guide, make a course, write the book using case studies from the course, longer timeline, but you'll get paid the whole way. But it feels more authentic and proven with my audience, especially after watching you do it. I think that first of all, there's a lot of reasons why I think that this is a wise thing to do. First of all, it's going to take you a lot of time and a lot of behind the scenes to write a book. And if it hasn't been tested, people are going to poke holes in your book. And that's going to feel really tough for you because of how much work it took. And if it hadn't been tested, the holes they're poking in it are right. You have to let people poke holes in your teaching. And ideally, you would do this before it was such a high time commitment. So when you can teach this, like in a workshop, first of all, people are paying you more, but the hole poking is happening behind the scenes and in a container where you can say, I'm going to get back to you on this next week. Thank you for pointing out this inconsistency. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to come back to you. The content starts to expand because there are the questions that you thought people were going to have, and then the questions that people actually have. You're going to find when round after round, people keep asking you the same infuriating questions. It's not because they're all idiots that aren't listening to you. It's because you haven't explained it clearly enough. And if you're doing a book for the first time, you'll say, I don't want to repeat myself in every single chapter because I already said this, but people are going to forget. How many of you have opened up a book and you can't remember if you read that page or not? Like, yeah, it happens all, especially, geez, if you're studying any like dense spiritual manuscripts, you're like, is this revealing itself to me over again, or did I not retain it the first time, or have I never read this page before? Like when you lose your bookmark in a dense spiritual in a dense spiritual manual, sometimes it feels like bibliomancy, like, oh, just the page that I needed is finding me. But other times you're like, I can't tell if I'm the worst student or if this book is just like so over my head. But so for all of those reasons, it's nice to be able to test things behind the scenes, not just for your paycheck, but also for the quality of the work. But in addition to this, you probably, unless you have a huge following somehow, that is relevant to your course. So for example, if you have a huge following because you used to always post pictures of yourself in bikinis and now you're moving into like spiritual lecturing, you might not be able to take that whole audience with you. Ideally, we'd make a product that somebody that loved pictures of you in a bikini would also do. For example, here's how I got my bikini body, or here's a bikini company that I started. Or or let's say that the audience is like all male. And even though you really want to be teaching females, you're like, I have 150,000 males here with their dicks in their hands. Maybe I'll teach them about sex magic for men. Maybe I'll find something that they can actually pay me for. But a lot of times when you're just starting out, sharing your wisdom and people are there for your wisdom, you're starting with a small audience. And as you deliver more and more content and develop more authority, that audience grows. So even if you had, let's say that you were a bikini model and you have 150,000 followers, if you say, I'm going to write a book, not all those followers, if they're not there for your wisdom, might not be down to buy the book. So if you're putting all, let's say that you have 300 people that might buy your first book, which would be a pretty good turnout, honestly. That book is, let's pull out the calculator. This is my favorite time. This is my favorite thing to do. Let's say that your book sells for $28. And so after printing and shipping, if you're on Amazon KDP, you have roughly $7 of royalty payments that'll be issued to you over the course of 90 days. $7 times 300 is $2,100. That's totally fine if it's not your only source of income. But when we think about the fact that maybe it takes you 12 months to write that book, let's divide 2,100 by 12. That means you're making $175 a month on this book. The numbers aren't great, but let's say you have 300 people that are here for your wisdom that do want to pay you, and you can start them out with a course, and a course will pay you $175 for one sale only, and that's on the low end. You can make a lot more money while testing the work, while cutting your chops, while building authority. Every time you put together a course, you have more authority in the space. Every time you build a lead magnet, you have more authority in the space. You look legit. And all of the marketing you do around getting that lead magnet out and getting that course out is solidifying you as an expert in this field. So it's working on so many different levels. Now, when you've built a name up for yourself as being an expert in this field, and you have all of this data and you have all of these case studies, and you've been getting paid the whole time, there's naturally a market of people that have been curious about this work of yours, but don't have the time or the money to commit to doing the whole course. Well, those people can now have the book. So when it comes to, for fiction, it's different. For fiction, we're not even going to go into fiction right now because I'm just going to answer, unless somebody expressly asks me this question. I'm not just going to veer off into the fiction category. But for nonfiction, you would definitely want to prove that your concept works. And if you're going to prove that the concept works, get paid for it the whole way through. People just don't tell people in the beginning, this is going to go into book form. Let it be a workshop when it's a workshop. Let it be one-on-one coaching when it's one-on-one coaching. Enjoy every iteration of this work for what it is and for the unique trust that the book is coming. And you're writing it passively, you're learning about it, and it'll be very easy once it's time to go. But appreciate every iteration of the work as it's being born. And once that goes passive, something else will come and take its place. So all of the energy that I was using for Wheels Reinvented is now going to go into erotic wealth, because it's going to take me a long time to get that method to a point where it could even eventually go into videos without me being present. Originally, we thought we were doing people a favor by not doing it live, especially for couples, because we wanted it to be flexible to people's schedules. So first we did it as 1 hour videos, and then people squirmed about that. So we're like, okay, instead of a 1 hour video, we'll make you, 5 to 6 5-minute videos. But then people would feel so fucking accomplished after doing one 5-minute video that they'd take 2 weeks to do the next 5-minute video and 3 weeks to do the next one. So now we're going to try it of just, okay, we're doing it live. You guys come and show up, and just like you would for couples therapy, and we'll see if that works. And if it doesn't work, we'll try harder next year, and we'll try harder next year, because when it's destiny, you just have to fucking do it. So we just have to fucking do it. We have to make it work. And let me just see. Please give a little insight into fiction. Okay, thank you. So now I've officially been asked. Regardless of whether it's fiction or nonfiction, you need an audience that wants to read you. You need an audience that wants to read you. So I love hearing about people whose writing careers were stalled or not gratifying, no matter how much work they put in. Alex Astor is a really good example of this. Alex Astor, her sister started, I think it's called Newsette, maybe. Her sister started a really popular paid newsletter before Substack, her twin sister. She, on the other hand, had been writing fiction and queering agents since she was 13 years old, writing novels, cranking them out. She wrote a book series called Lightlark. I don't know anything about it, but I do know that it's very popular. Anyway, she went to official writing school, got picked up by an agent, was like totally on the path to do things conventionally perfectly. And then her agent dumped her because she was fussing over the end of her book too much. She wanted to change the ending. As an author, you should be able to change the ending. Anyway, her agent just dumped her out of nowhere. And so she went on TikTok and was just like, hey, she'd been talking a little bit about what it was like to be a writer, but wasn't really giving too much away about the manuscript or what she was actually doing. But she went on there and was like, hey, would anyone read this book? Here's the storyline, basically. And when she went to bed, it had like 100 views. So she's like, I guess it wouldn't do anything, but it blew up on TikTok overnight, woke up to millions of views. So many people saying, yes, I would read the shit out of this book. And then it ended up, she got an agent and ended up getting in a bidding war with a big five publishing house. And it's part of a trilogy. So the whole thing got picked up. And I think it's actually being made into a series on Netflix. So, but none of this would have happened if it wasn't for TikTok. I'm going to give you guys another example. I just included this in the last newsletter I sent out, which was on Saturday. You can see it in your authorship email archives. But this woman on Substack, 12 years of writing books, trial and error, all of this stuff, nothing happened, nothing sold, went on TikTok and it blew up. Let's do another one. Madeline Miller spent 10 years writing the book Song of Achilles and 10 years writing the book Circe. These are both flawless masterpiece books. Amazing. She taught Greek mythology, I think college level Greek mythology, because I guess they don't teach that in high school. So really well-informed books, beautiful books. Didn't sell for shit. Song of Achilles had a renaissance on TikTok because it's the best gay love story of all time. She was the first, because she's, revisiting mythology and she's like, look, everybody is talking about Achilles and Patroclus like they were these best friends in war. She's like, sounds pretty gay to me. Let's write it as a gay love story. And it is, I hope that I don't sound stupid when I say this, but if there's like gay love scene, like Brokeback Mountain, the gay love scenes don't ever make me go like, ooh, because it's just like not really my thing. Girl on girl, I'm all over it, but guy on guy, it just doesn't, sorry, I can't. There's nothing wrong with me if I don't get a sexual charge for something. I guess it just wasn't my kink until I read Song of Achilles. Homie, I'm fucking fanning myself over these gay love scenes. I said, oh my God, I'm healed. I love it. My kink is balanced. The fucking best gay love story of all time. And then she wrote another one, Circe. But anyway, this book had a renaissance on TikTok, Book Talk specifically, where they're like, man, this book is amazing. I can't believe people haven't read it. So it got all of these resales. And she said that this totally kept her alive during pandemic. And then her second book, Circe, which is about like the original witch banished to the mountains of whatever, I can't remember what it was, having a great time being a green witch, making herbal potions and all this stuff. A fucking amazing story, totally different style. And then this also ended up catching a big windfall just from the attention on social media. One last case study. This is nonfiction, the book Chaos by Tom O'Neill. Guy spent 20 years writing it from his parents' basement. It is an investigation into the CIA's involvement with the Manson family. One question leads to more questions. It started off as an article for like People magazine or something, ended up becoming 20 years of his life. This guy moves into his parents' basement to finish his book, devotes his entire life to this cause. This thing is like this thick and it's awesome. Came out, sold less than 1,000 copies, did absolutely nothing. But luckily, somebody, friend of a friend of a friend, got a book to Joe Rogan, not as like a favor to Tom O'Neill, but was just like, hey, you should check out this book if you're interested in this type of stuff. Tom O'Neill ends up getting on the Joe Rogan podcast, and then his book starts to sell out and sell out over and over again. So this is the magic of like finding the right audience. In Tom O'Neill's case, luckily the universe wanted this story out there, and somehow the book got into other people's hands because he was one of those old authors. I don't want to leave my attic, let me write, blah, blah, blah. I mean, sorry, I don't want to leave my parents' basements, let me write. I don't want to go on a press tour, yada, yada, yada. luckily he got shunted out in front of an audience that could buy his book. But for all of these other people that went out of their comfort zone and started building an audience on TikTok, this is where they started to see a real shift in their sales. So regardless of what book you're writing, you're going to want an audience for it. In nonfiction, you want to prove that the method that you're teaching works, that you have authority in this space. But when it comes to the world of fiction, you need to prove to people that this is a story worth reading. And there are so many innovative, oh, it just kills me, amazing ways that these people are marketing their books on BookTok. This woman, I remember the first time I saw this woman doing it, it blew my mind. This woman puts up a TikTok that says, here's some text between me and my therapist. And she's showing these text screenshots of high strung sexual tension between her and her therapist going back and forth. And I'm sitting there fucking gobsmacked over it. Oh my God, I can't believe this is going on. And right when it's hitting the peak and you say, oh my God, they're going to go meet up at the bar. You see a shot of her showing her book. If you want to know the rest of this story, buy the book with the link to go buy it right away. And I'm like, this is so genius. She is putting people in the middle of that story and leaving them wanting more. And this is somebody that cranks out 2 erotic novels a year. So just there's so many interesting ways that people are marketing their book. And I just started a TikTok Onami house just for books, recs, and publishing because I really want to use TikTok to market my book. But I'm not going to lie, you guys, I have a 300,000 audience on TikTok, but I can hardly, my stuff's been suppressed on there for so long. So I'm just not, TikTok really wants organic, unique content just for them, but it's hard for me to put a lot of work into making a video, get 40 views on it on my new account or 2,000 views on my old account, and then also not go share that over on Instagram where it'll get at least 40,000 views over 3 days. Like it's hard for me to not do that. So I need to clarify for myself if I just need to break the habit and start a new account, because BookTok does for artists, it's not the same impact on Instagram. There's no stories of people. BookTok is this very unique community that I really want to tap. And that reminds me that I have to do research this week on if you can link an Amazon product to TikTok Shop. They were going to open it up so that you can, which would be key because then people could buy your Amazon book one click through TikTok. But they've been hovering on that for a while. And if you self-publish through Amazon, BookTok can't really do too much for you with that instant click. You can't bring in affiliates or anything for it. But if they change that, that book, The Shadow Work Journal, really blew up on TikTok as a result of their affiliate program. But if you're selling your book on Amazon and hoping to get it through TikTok Shop, you basically collect the orders on TikTok Shop and then go manually order it for them on Amazon. It's just really, really slow. So I will get back to you guys on that when I find out if they've updated that or not. But I am just having, I started this new account for Onami House. I got 40 views on this thing about the best occult books for protecting yourself from black magic. I'm trying it also over on my regular TikTok, but I need to be able to access BookTok. And I think if I just accept this, like I need to be able to access BookTok. I cannot do this the way that I want to without them. Now, maybe I'm here to do it without them, but the way that I want to do it is with them. Therefore, I have to make this work. If I just accept that the same way that I've accepted that I cannot do my book edits while holding Taiga at the same time, I know that I can. Once I accept that limitation, the style will start to come through. But I need to just accept that I really need BookTok, and there's something that I'm doing now that is just not allowing my stuff to be seen on TikTok. I think TikTok really wants its own content. My toddlers love Roblox. It blows my mind how well they play. Yeah, it's real. I was like very anti Minecraft until I saw my son playing it. Like there's so much that I was kind of getting really stuck on when I started teaching them reading. A lot of my energy was going towards having these like reading lessons. And so I wasn't really watching what they were doing when they were playing Minecraft because I was like, it's just a game, whatever. They just really, really wanted it. So I was like, all right. And Minecraft is basically like built for my son. It's all of the things he's interested in doing that he wasn't able to do like in the wintertime. It's building and engineering and all of that. And he just loves it. But after watching him play and kind of seeing his process, like he goes and digs around in Minecraft and then like learns these new geological terms. Or like when I told him, I was like, I think we're going to name this baby Taiga. He's like, after the taiga biome, sick. And starts telling me all about the taiga biome because there's a taiga biome in Minecraft. And then he has like his little friend. And I told his friend, Paxton, we named our baby Taiga. And he's like Minecraft, that's so sick. Like these little 6-year-olds. But basically like he goes really deep into a rabbit hole on Minecraft and then wants to go research if the things he's learned about in Minecraft are real or fake. And he's always teaching me. He explained to me this animal that I didn't know existed. But this was my big thing with their education is letting them know that they can learn anything that they want to learn really fast. That this is just, I wanted to teach them how to research, how to have a question and know where to go to be able to get that question answered. Is it a book? Is it a library? Is it a grown up? Is it YouTube? And setting them up with the tools so they could do their own research on things. Now, I don't get to control. I mean, we don't have unrestricted access to the internet. They have to watch YouTube with us. But this was something that I really wanted for them to be able to teach themselves whatever it was that they wanted to learn. And I have to say, like, I'm pretty impressed with how all of that has been going. My daughter is really like interested in reading. My son, not so much, but he's way into numbers. And I only realized recently like how much I was projecting my shit onto him because I'm really not good with numbers, but I'm very into reading and writing. I never felt pressured to teach him numbers or anything like that. And I was disregarding the fact that he had teach himself multiplication, basic division, all of this stuff all by himself. I was disregarding that because it wasn't reading. I've been scared to create a TikTok, but I just can't get out of the friend zone on Instagram. So I guess it's time to just fucking do it already. It's hard shouting into the void, dude. I'm serious. Even when you have like it's hard. And it used to be that you could just cross post things over, but now it seems like I have almost an identical amount of followers on Instagram and TikTok, but my reach is just way stronger. TikTok is also a super sensitive algorithm, and I'm like a fucking bull in a china shop. Like everything I do offends them in some way. So it's hard for me to keep getting slaps on the wrist from TikTok, and I kind of have to go all in or go all out. I am hiring a video editor, and he's going to help me just kind of make more content from things like these Q&As and stuff like that. And so maybe I will really be able to post different stuff on TikTok and Instagram and have it be totally separate. And I need to look up because I saw a comment on this one fashion influencer. Her name's Sammy Jeffcoat. That's how I pronounce it. And I really like, she wears a lot of latex and harnesses and stuff, but she's cool. And goth mom. But someone had commented on her social media and said, oh, I love the way that your TikTok content is so different from your Instagram content. And she said, yeah, those are just algorithms that like really different stuff. I need to go and compare a couple accounts side by side, maybe Ballerina Farm and Nara Smith, compare their Instagram to their TikTok, and then also this influencer, and just see like, do you really need to make two types of content for two platforms that want to feature the exact same things? Like, it seems so unsustainable. But there is this new social media coming out that I got on the wait list for that I think is really interesting. It's called Silk. I forget I just texted it to my friend. The website is, let me see, where did it say? The website is silk.cx. It's on waitlist right now. And when you go there, they'll direct you to their Instagram. If you're on their Instagram, you're on their waitlist and you'll be one of their first creators For me, going on it is always a risk going on a brand new social media because you don't know if it's going to make it or not. But if you are on that opening team, they really pump your content out there, especially if you're taking it seriously. And it can be a great way, even if you're only there for first 6 months and it capsizes, you can go get a totally unique audience and bring them back into your fold, which I think is really interesting. But the concept of this social media is basically like, links you, it's almost like Pinterest, but it's more of a place for you to showcase all of the weird little rabbit holes and products, things that you like, a way of describing yourself by websites and things that you like. So you could put the Wikipedia page you were on next to a tweet you liked, next to some shoes that you're thinking about, next to a couch that you like, all of the different random stuff that you're interested in. It's basically like what your Google searches say about you, but in a way that's curated. And I actually do think that that's a really cool idea. So I'm on the wait list for that. And I'm already thinking about how I could kind of populate that. I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but book suggestions if you like Greek mythology, Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson. Okay, cool. I'll look into it. And for you, Cara, being scared of creating a TikTok, like I totally get it. And I'll keep you, I don't have the answers for it at all. It's really strange to me that I can have 300,000 followers on TikTok and just not even be able to access them at all. It like feels stupid to me. And then I don't like that TikTok is like I feel like their algorithm is so responsive. I've heard that the algorithm records your face while you're watching things to determine if you're like into it or not into it. So they show you more of it based on your like actual facial response. And that's why TikTok has so many filters to analyze your face in all of these different settings. Um, but I feel like my TikTok was doing the best when I spent a lot of time on TikTok, when I watched a lot of TikTok, when I followed trends. And when I did that, the truth is that my content overall was better. I popped off on TikTok first, and then I brought this new creative strategy that I had learned on TikTok and was reposting over to Instagram. When I was spending a lot of time in reposting to Instagram, my TikTok was doing well and my Instagram was doing well. When I started spending a lot of time on Instagram and cross posting to TikTok, I did not have the same results. So TikTok is developing the trends and Instagram is sustaining the trends. TikTok was there first for the short form video. And now that I'm saying this, I'm like, wow, this is a simple equation. It's just, I'm a millennial. I loved Instagram. That was like and Instagram is still a safe zone for me. I know where to find all my little things, my little people and stuff. And sometimes on TikTok, especially since TikTok moved into TikTok Shop, I've just been like, I do not want the split end trimmer, but the more you show me it, the more I think I need to buy this little $10 piece of crap. And then I hate the way that I feel about that. I get influenced really hard on TikTok. So, but if I want my TikTok, well, I'm happy that I'm able to find this. And for anybody that's thinking of starting a new social media, investigate it first, learn about it, go and spend some time on it. Don't bring your same creative strategy from somewhere else over there, unless it's Instagram, which is deliberately knocking off that strategy. Also, X says that it wants to be a video forward platform. X to me is like a dumpster fire. I literally don't know what's happening next on there at all. I like have no idea. I never know what I'm getting over there. Sometimes it shows me the fucking strangest shit. And I'm like, why do you guys care? And I just fundamentally don't understand how it works. Blue Sky, I'm like, what? That's too far over somewhere that I can't find. Substack is growing on me the more I spend time there, although it is like reading a lot of nicely branded Facebook rants. And Substack people are really strange because they all think they're not on social media, but like they totally are. It like is a social media. But Substack is really growing on me. But when you spend time, it's okay to not start posting your first day on a new account. It's okay to download the app, let it start recording your face and just see what it is that you like. And as you start seeing trends or interesting things that come up, you might find yourself being inspired to contribute in a way that you didn't think you were before. And you never know. I was just telling this to somebody in the Q&A. Trust that there is a bigger that God is the biggest algorithm that there is, and that what's meant to go viral will go viral. It'll never be what you think it should be. And a lot of people say, oh my God, I went viral and ended up on the wrong side of TikTok. I've gotten my best press from going negatively viral on social media for unschooling. 3.5 million views of people saying I'm the worst mom ever, but then Rolling Stone, The Guardian, Fox News gives me the mic and says, we think you're doing a pretty good job. So that's what's meaningful to me, but don't worry about what goes viral or not. Are you having fun? Are you enjoying it? Let it be fun. That is something really nice about a new social media, is that once you start to get into the groove of it, it is fun. Kind of like Instagram at first was really fun, and then it became work and all of that. Let's do some more questions. Oh, you know what I have to do, guys? Plot twist. I have to answer my safe house Q&A. We have about 20 more minutes here. My in-laws are in town right now. My ring from the book sales has been stuck in post office for a long time, but I think it should arrive today. And that is my special gift for making sure to make a sales funnel. Okay, let's see. I have some here. Let's see. Are these all from today? Okay, let's see how quickly I can do this. Onami, yes. I'm feeling called to start my first business. Great. I learned through Wheels and Ritual the importance of grounding in action. I'm still finding that even with my desire to do the work and surrender the how to God, I'm still choosing to procrastinate and afraid of showing up in the marketplace. What do you suggest? Well, first of all, you just have to do the next right step. So feeling called to start your first business. What's the first step for the first business? Is it getting the domain name? Is it getting the social media? Is it defining what's going to be for sale in this first business? You don't have to cover all of these problems at once. You just need the next right step. So if you're feeling called to start your business, what's the business concept? What's for sale? And start to fantasize. Would you be able to pay your rent with something like this? Let's start with the numbers, and you can just go back and forth from faith to work. So let's start with the numbers. Would this be able to pay you? And then from there, we can go into how does it serve humanity? Those are great first right steps to have. And this could come to you in a week. This could come to you in a day. But when you're ready for more, just tap in. Cool. This lady, I love her name. I can't say it because everyone's anonymous, but I love it. Okay. Trying to remember something you said about the first 3 chakras opening for love, money, and safety. Is this correct? I can't remember what call it was on, either last accountability or boundaries. So the first 2 chakras, the first chakra, the root, is about getting your needs met. And the second chakra is about getting your wants met. So the main needs that you have is safety, money, and love. Also, the main wants that you'll have when it's no longer enough to get the bare minimum of love, the bare minimum of safety, and the bare minimum of money, you're going to want a heightened version of love, a heightened version of safety, and a heightened version of money. And this is always, and safety meaning your home, your stability, all of that. Your ability to easily pay for the things that you want, and then easily pay, easily pay for the things that you need, and then easily pay for the things that you want. This is just the standards keep getting higher. So first chakra about needs, second chakra about wants. Also, the channels of love and money are both blocked by low self-worth. So when you work on your self-worth, believing yourself to be a valuable person from the inside out, not waiting for someone to say, oh, you're so valuable, why aren't you famous? Because it is actually really shitty to get compliments like that when you're like, I don't know why I'm not famous. And you're not famous because of your own self-worth and the time and the practice that all comes when you see yourself as being worthy of time and practice. Anyways, you work on self-worth, and the love and money blocks start to shift. All right, let's do another question over here. And then I don't have actually that many today. Hello, I hear you on training to wait for gratification. However, I have this pattern of action, then deep freeze in response to the action, and the amount of time and tension it takes to get back to action is like starting over. I don't know how to break this deep pattern. I've been trying. So, this isn't actually a question, but when you notice a pattern, that's 90% of figuring out the problem. You've recognized the problem. So many of questions that we get like this, I end up putting it back to them the same question because you need to learn for yourself like what this looks like for you. You need to learn how to discern things for yourself. So someone will say, how do I know when I'm doing something for approval versus it's just my success pattern? This is the question for you. How do you know? How do you know? Take your journal out and write down, how do you know this thing? Because it's going to be different for every person. But if you've recognized that you have a pattern of action and then deep freeze in response to the action, what do you need to do about it? What do you need to do when you recognize that this is a pattern that's unfolding? When was the first time that you ever felt this way? If you give yourself 1 hour in your journal to figure out a protocol or just giving yourself time to talk about it, the same way that I was on here today for Q&A talking about TikTok, and then I realized the pattern. Wow, when I do TikTok and then Instagram, it works. When I do Instagram and then TikTok, it doesn't work. Simple. Now I know what to do about it, and now I have to take action on it. But the hardest part was figuring out the problem. The problem is when I feed Instagram first, my TikTok suffers. When I do it vice versa, it's okay. So much of this is just, what are you going to do with it now that you know? Let's do our last question over here. I've written around 10 children's musicals. I've run them as theater camps, so that was great for feedback and active income. 2 times on accident, people have rented them for their theater companies just through word of mouth. But I would love to publish them officially so I can get in on that passive income game and rent them to school and theaters companies. I was thinking a good funnel might be to put the musicals online as a YouTube series, but I love your thoughts on this. So you could totally put the full version online, but the thing is that YouTube grows like a newsletter. It's super slow and steady growth, and to really do well on YouTube, you need to study SEO. No matter what people say about SEO trends, YouTube runs on SEO. YouTube is the world's second largest search engine. YouTube is also very fussy about video quality. YouTube is also very fussy about thumbnails. YouTube is a lot of work, and you're putting, let's say that you could take a musical that's maybe 40 minutes long and break that up into 40 individual short form pieces of content for TikTok or Instagram. That's 40 balls that you can, that could potentially be home runs. On YouTube, it's one ball that you're really hoping to get right. And I've had a lot of dud videos on YouTube, and I've had other ones that have taken off. The ones that have taken off were the ones that were highly produced, that a lot of times I invested money into. If not money, it was a lot of time, putting a lot of time into the SEO for the titles, putting a lot of time into the thumbnails. What I would recommend is, how can you use this as teaser content? How can you get more mileage out of these individual pieces of content? Also, for you, I would really identify that not all industries can become passive income. I'm not really well versed on the theater industry at all, but I'm happy that you see a way, because you're clearly the wayfinder in this situation, to quote Moana 2. But not all businesses can go passive. And so what you want to look at is like, what is your favorite part about doing these musicals, and what is your not favorite part? Taking something passive is making sure that you can stop doing all of your not favorite parts, but still be there for the parts that you really love. If you can take something 80% passive, that's still pretty good. So just something to think about on there. I have a fuckless question. What gate do I need to look at as my not brand? The thing I probably want to do but should not do when I post on socials. Just so that's your conscious sun. And go on to the Christy Inga thing where she talks about the positive and the negative end of the spectrum. So conscious sun, the top icon on the right hand side of your chart. Look that gate up on Christy Inga. When it's not aligned, that's when you're behaving in an off-brand way. So I believe that is a wrap for today. I'm going to take, let me just check and see. I have 11 people on YouTube. If someone on YouTube would like to ask a question, that I'll prioritize you guys. I'm going to do one question on Instagram since we're here. Can you explain escaping a cult just to create your own? So yeah, definitely. But you know what? I used to say that I accidentally started a cult because I really felt that way. But then I pitched that as a documentary. I've been, a lot of documentary people have been reaching out to me since Soft White Underbelly. And I told this lady, I'm like, look, I think I have a unique experience here, because I left a cult and then accidentally started a cult. And then she's like, I'd love to get you on the phone and talk about this. So I told her the whole story, which took about an hour. And sadly, and she told me, she's like, well, I hate to break it to you, but you didn't actually start a cult. And it's true. I didn't start a cult. I ended up in a cult. I was following teachers coming downwind from the Kundalini tradition, who I loved a lot. But when they said, look, this is actually a war of good and evil, I just believed them implicitly because they were my teachers. And I should have not done that, but it wasn't coming from me being like a dumbass. I just have learned, maybe it is coming from me being a dumbass. I learned at a really young age to respect my elders. And as a result, when my elders as teachers said, this is what it is, I didn't question them because I wanted to be respectful, and I went along with it. Now, a way that I was saying that I had started a cult was by creating a space where people could come and share any amount of links, and we could all talk about these different conspiracies that we were into, some of which were like verging on doomsday. But at no point did I tell people doomsday was coming. At no point did I when we even had calls called Conspiracy Lovers Anonymous. And I'm really proud of myself. They were set up as a way that we could peer review some of these conspiracies and point out when something was ridiculous, which we did pretty well on these calls. And then we ended every single call on a positive note. If this is true, what do we do about it? So that it wasn't just promoting and creating paranoia. But the problem with that space is that I was not the leader. If I had been the actual leader and said, okay, we're going to not be like, we're going to keep things a little bit more organized here, it probably wouldn't have been so sloppy. But I created a fucking free for all, which started to veer into just like a complete like right wing, everyone that's not us or sheep. And I wasn't directly feeding that, but I was hosting it because I was the one that built the space. And as soon as I found out that that's what happened, I tore it down. So this whole time I've been actually tooting my own horn as being a cult leader when I actually wasn't that cool, or that, which is actually good news for me because it's not something that I was aspiring to being. But the lady was like, well, I hate to break it to you, but it doesn't sound like you actually started a cult. Sounds like you ended up in a cult. And that's the biggest diss that ex-cult members have for each other. Oh, you left. It's basically a way of saying you can't trust your mind. You left a cult and now you're in another cult. And it's so stupid, honestly. This is why I don't talk to any ex-members, because even the I have like one friend, but she's always filling me in on things like that this is a big diss that they all throw to each other. And I'm like, I wouldn't even know about this if I wasn't talking to you. But unfortunately, I thought that was going to be such an angle, but my documentarian lady really shut me down. I did not effectively start a cult. So I hope that answers your question. I don't have either. Oh, here we go. Oh, do I have questions? Okay, cool. I don't have any more questions on YouTube. So thank you guys anyway. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up for the day. Hey, Capricorn Moonchild. I'm saying hi to you just because I'm a Capricorn and I like Capricorns, even though I can't be in a room with other Capricorns because I'm like, I get it. You're an overachiever. Like, stop showing me what I am. I can't take it. But thank you guys. Watch out for schizophrenic diagnosis. The schizophrenic diagnosis in the spiritual world is not something people are afraid of at all. It's just something that you go through. So, cool. All right, you guys. So next week, I don't really have any plans for what our class is going to be. We'll show up. We'll talk about whatever we're going to talk about. We'll answer some questions, and that'll be a wrap. But thank you all so much for being here. This was the authorship Q&A. If you're interested in self-publishing or learning more about self-publishing, you can get the first 4 emails. You'll get one every Sunday for a month. It's totally free. Go to mommyonami.com/authors if you want to be able to ask me questions and have them be answered. Join Safe House. It's a really good time to join because Fuckless had a very quiet launch this round because we were the value stack. People always like live more than they like getting their homework checked. It's only it's only somebody that's kind of been waiting in line for one-on-one coaching that's like, I would rather have 5 minutes of your attention just focused on me than live time of your attention focused on everybody, once a week. But the majority of people, at least this is what the data is telling me, the majority of people would prefer something that came with live calls. So, and I'm really happy because it's taking me a long time to check everybody's homework on Fuckless. And if we had a lot of people sign up for it, it would be really crazy. But we started the year with 800 students. Ritual's always like got a really big turnout. But right now we have, I just checked, I think we have like 670 students. So in between now and Wheels Reinvented is a good time to come in because we're not too busy. We can give more attention. But this is the last year that we're doing all questions answered because next year we have to move to just doing select questions on Q&A. So I was avoiding that growth for a while, but now I embrace the growth. So thank you all so much for being here today. I will see you next week. This replay is going to be in the authorship replay area and also on our replay chats that you find in the Q&A area. So thank you all so much, and I will see you next week and have a wonderful